What's up, everybody? We're going with the old school entrance to this podcast because we got a new spec map, Ryan. It's Ryan and Brian.
Yep.
It's excellent time. It's Halloween time because I'm a little hyped, if you can't tell. I'm going to halfway to Halloween tomorrow night at National Nightmare.
Ooh.
Gonna get some scares on the local scene. And we're coming off the tail of maybe one of my favorite episodes next to your baby announcement. We have two of the best episodes we've ever done.
I know.
Like, almost back to back. Ryan, how are you feeling?
At least that last one was one of my favorite to record. We'll see how people like listening to it, but
Yeah.
it was definitely fun.
Everyone might hate it and
participate in.
That's just how it goes. But we touched on this in the last episode. If you've listened to that one, we mentioned there was a new spec map that we haven't covered yet. It's been kind of crazy, Ryan. But yeah, we got a new spec map and some stuff did change, and I don't really want to waste any time.
Things changed.
Let's get into it because last episode was a bit longer. Didn't feel like it to us because we were having a blast. I really did want to get into
what turned into a firm 1 hour recording turned into a very loose 2.5.
That's so good. Had a great time, but I am as fun as it was, and we had a great time, Ryan. I was so amazed at what you came up with, but now I'm also ready to come back to what's actually happening. You know, I was at work today, and this guy I've told Horror Nights about for a few years who went a long time ago. He's thought about going back, and he finally decided he's going this year. They booked it. It's going to happen. And he's like, we don't know anything. I said, we don't know anything. And so we talked all day on and off, and man, I am just ready to go over the spec map because there's some interesting things and some, hopefully, confirmations, honestly, we've been waiting for I would say, 4 years.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, I'm going to start with the one that is still the same. We're just going to go around this map here. We're doing Orlando right now. We will touch on Hollywood at a different time because if you're also watching the video, which the videos are going up now, thank you for your patience on that. I am not at home, so I'm not in my – I don't know how Ryan does this. This feels too not atmospheric. This is like Ryan's daily.
I'm building the atmosphere. It's
okay.
It's imagination. It's in my mind right now. I see purple and
it's orange and it's the shirt.
Black shirts, no orange shirts here. No orange shirts allowed in this imaginary space.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm gonna be twirling all around because I've got my computer on a pillow on a bed in my parents' house because I'm in Nashville because we don't live in Nashville anymore, which is crazy. So let's start with Soundstage 23A. We're still looking at what I feel very confident about, the monsters of Latin America. Yeah. I know it's not exactly Latin, but look how high up it goes. Maybe they're going to go into some more lore in other regions. Yeah. I still am hyped about this. Are you still feeling good about this house?
Definitely. I mean, I heard good things about the one that they did in Hollywood last year.
Yep.
Always down for an original with different monsters. The only thing that will have me a little bit nervous is I wasn't the biggest fan of Chupacabra.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of a divisive take. Some people think it's one of the better originals they've ever done, but for me, it just never hit. So anytime you do a different creature house, I'm going to be a little bit cautious.
Yeah,
but honestly, I'm pumped for this. I think because I love La Llorona.
Right, and that's a great one. And the Hollywood one, we're hopefully going to get one of my buddies who's coming on the Rest in Peace tour this year, Kieran, on the cast, who I'm trying to convince to go to halfway to Halloween tomorrow night. Get a little pre-Rest in Peace tour going on. He got to go through the Hollywood one, and he loved it. He was very excited to see it coming to Orlando. I wanted to love Fiesta de Chupacabra. It obviously fell short because the Chupacabras were – I loved the fireworks. I loved the colors. I loved the set. Yes. I loved a lot of the house, but it was just not scary. Yeah. And it left you wanting more for sure. So let's move up to Soundstage 22, which has a little icon next to it, meaning most likely it's going to be based on a film or intellectual property. What are people thinking for this, Ryan? What have you seen?
I have heard so many different things about this one, which is
if you haven't looked, it's the weird. It looks.
It's the Bride of Frankenstein hair on top of the female symbol.
On top of the female symbol, yeah.
So I've heard things from Lisa Frankenstein to just the Bride of Frankenstein coming back to maybe this is all of the female Universal monsters together in one house.
Which would be, Scream Queens it up.
Also, I forget the name of the character, but the new lead character at Epic Universe for the Dark Universe section is also a female Frankenstein.
And we've talked about maybe seeing a house that They're all in.
Yes.
We are still
To go in with my prediction, that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But this one, it goes back and forth. It's one of those things where it gets like kind of like more Universal monsters. I'm like, but then it's like, okay, so we'll see.
We'll see. We're getting a little not snow plowed over as Halloween Horror Nights fans, but everything is Epic Universe and Summer Show right now. We're not getting anything, and the only way I see them caring about us is tying an announcement to Epic Universe before all of the Epic Universe stuff is done. We just got another Epic Universe announcement.
You could also lead that in. You could do Harry Potter next, and then end with Dark Universe, and then be like, oh, and by the way, we can proudly announce that this character is going to be premiering at
Halloween Horror Nights.
Horror Nights 33, which is the next event. Please come,
Yeah, and, we talked about that a few weeks ago, that's the only way I would see them, tying an announcement together, and we kind of were like, nah, it's not going to happen. But now I'm back on board with it might.
Yeah.
It might happen. So
these announcements have been happening really fast for Universal.
They have. It's quite crazy. They, I know they got a new park, and they wanted to wait till they were confirmed on everything. But it's a crazy season. But honestly, as a fan, it's a fun season. We got so much coming out. I'm having a blast with it. Next one, we're still looking at Ghostbusters. I don't think we really need to touch on that.
I did see online that at the very end of Nightmare on Elm Street, that's the car, that's the Freddy car with the convertible top, is that same model car.
Have we been swerved this whole time?
So, not likely. But
hey, I always say Nightmare on Elm Street disappeared out of nowhere off these maps.
Yeah,
and
it did.
With Frozen Tundra Crown Empire Penguin movie, it didn't do well, and so maybe we get. I would rather have Nightmare on Elm Street. Sorry.
Yes.
I'd love. We've seen a Ghostbusters house, and as my buddy said today, because I told him it was one of the rumors, he's like, "Well, that's not like really scary. It'd be really cool to go through." And I said, "Yeah, it's pretty much how it was."
Yeah, I mean, I love the house, and I mean, we'll get to repeating houses later.
Yeah, but he was
in this, but
very excited about this next one. Ryan, talk about this next one because there was a little bit of a change with it.
I'm not aware of any. I mean, oh no, it moved. It moved locations.
It jumped.
Moved locations.
It jumped.
So it is Quiet Place, or just sound with the mute symbol on it. So or no,
sound off. The musical sounds off. Sound off. I don't know how many people are gonna get that reference.
It did move to a soundstage, which makes more sense for a property of the scale of A Quiet Place. We know it's not going to be very quiet because if it shares a soundstage with another house, you're going to be able to hear all that audio if it was quiet.
Yeah, so there goes
that theory is going to be out.
Yeah, there goes our hopes and dreams. I see some similar sets as Yeti, which was close to that location.
Yeah.
But I told my buddy again, he was very excited about this. He's like, "Oh man, could you imagine if the monsters went after the people who screamed and made a noise?" So I hope, to your point, you've been waving that flag this whole time. I would love to see that. I hope they play with it a little bit and just have, like we've talked about. There's been rooms. There's been. I just had a thought that I want to ask anybody who knows about this house. I've not watched a walkthrough of it in a really long time, so let me not forget that. But just to play with it, it'd be really cool. We want to see that happen. We've seen them use it in Graveyard Games, the tunnel, the black tunnel with the sound. But when they did the Dead Silence house that we never got to do, did they do? Because that movie plays on silence pretty well. Did they do any type of fun scenes with that? I'd have to go back and watch a walkthrough.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. But yeah, I think this house. This is a great HHN house. I'd have
you know what? We did mention this still could be Dead Silence.
It could be Dead Silence, and I will cry on stream. I will go live and cry.
Yes.
If it's Dead Silence, and also I will refund everybody in our Rest in Peace tour group because I'm not doing anything else. It's like Dueling Dragons last year, man. That's just all night.
If it wasn't for the fact that of the baby, I would probably be like, okay, now I'm guaranteed to do your RIP tour because I'm joining you to do this over and over again.
Off. It's me and Ryan. We're just going round and round, checking his phone each time.
It'll be like when I did Dead End.
Yeah.
I remember making my group so mad because every time it was at 0-8, it was walk on. And they're like, what do you want to do next? I'm like, I just want to do Dead End again. They're like, okay, let's do it again. What do you want to do next? I'm like, I just want to do this house over and over again. Then eventually they're like, stop. You have to do another house. I'm like, but I love this house so much.
Exactly. So yeah, those are our big sound stages. We're gonna close it out with one more, and I feel like I am. This feels like the Carnival Graveyard to me.
Okay.
I am so excited for this house, and I think it's going to be on that same scale of grandeur. You know, I don't think this will be like the clown house that we saw a few years ago. Yeah. Only because we saw a scare zone. We still don't know what this is, and if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it is a candy icon. So a lot of us are thinking it's just a sequel to that scare zone with the floats. I forget the name. I know everybody's like, oh,
it's like Sweet Streets or
Sweet Streets. Yeah, whatever. You guys, you know what we're talking about, doesn't it? You know, it's like a Family Guy I was watching last night. He's like, Stewie, your twos are backwards. He's like, yeah, but you know it's a two. So like, do we need to do this? I don't want to say sleeper, but this could be one that is just fun, crazy. Maybe they go gore. Maybe they go fun. Maybe they go like. I just think this has the potential in a soundstage to just be a tremendous house.
Yeah.
I'm getting
my
way
expectations
too
for it are fairly. Well, see, I'm the opposite. Like for me, like you can't really hype me up on this because I thought it was a very good scare zone, but it wasn't very scary, and I could kind of see it as a house just having the floats and all in there, and maybe adding some candy store.
Yeah.
But that really means all it can really do is go up.
That's a good call.
It can't really disappoint me all that much. If it does, then that's not good. But I really have no expectations for it.
This could go a few ways. It could go the clown house that we got a few years ago, which again I don't remember, but it was a ton of fun and scary. I thought that was an overwhelming.
Was that Giggles and Gore?
Giggles and Gore. I loved Giggles and Gore. I don't know what people thought about it.
Oh, I loved that.
Okay, so I think this can go one of two ways. It can go Giggles and Gore level of just like creative fun all over the place, colors, or it will end up like a the Carnival Graveyard or the Cell Block Horror one.
Yeah,
that was kind of like Hellblock Horror. Yeah, I didn't want to swear. Now I got to mark this explicit. But yeah, I don't know.
I said Hillblock Horror.
Hillblock Horror for like Hill House. All right, and going on to the most
unknown original.
The most surprising, we don't know is is this the first time? I could be wrong here. I'm striking out, guys. Look, you guys have been with us for 6 years. You know me. I remember scares. I don't remember names. That's my life. I remember memories, not details of like how to spell someone's name, like Ryan. Is it Rian? Who knows?
I'm still deciding.
Is this the first time we've seen an original in this location? Because it's been IP. Like almost we had.
Yeah, it's the first time.
Okay, so that's interesting. Maybe they can cater something to the space. I will say, I thought Chucky.
Or maybe they just opened up Fast and Furious, and that's just the scare. Oh no, it's open.
Yes, I'm still coughing, Tyler, because I have allergies and asthma, and I was out in the trails today. But I think that's interesting. And maybe for the first time, we'll actually see them utilize the in-between space.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there's a chance it changes to an IP down the road. And probably the most.
Let's just get to it. I'm trying not to get excited, but I think people know that when you put this icon on a house location, what people are going to think. Yeah. Like you can't mistake it. You know that by doing this. And I mean, what we're talking about here is they got the popcorn icon, so the assumed return of.
Have been
Slaughter Cinema
for Slaughter Cinema Part 2.
It lends itself it's pretty surprising because it was 2018 that house was out.
Right. It's been a while.
Yeah. And usually they do sequels to originals quicker than that.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Dead Exposure.
Dead Exposure.
That one they waited a while, but this one especially lends itself to a sequel because it's an anthology. Like why it doesn't necessarily like they could do it every year. And we wouldn't get tired of it.
For real. And I don't know. I genuinely, it is one of the head scratchers. I would, if I could, peek behind the curtain and ask, people like, hey, you always know there's hundreds of reasons they're going to cut it. It's that, whatever. Why that one? Why has that one not happened more frequently? Because it's such a strong concept. The fans love it. It translates well to the general public. Yeah, it did give us Yeti. Like,
it's a good way to soft launch other original properties.
Right. It's great. 10 out of 10. Skyrocket expectations.
I mean, legitimately, if that's announced,
if it's Slaughter Cinema 2, baby, we're going.
It's my top. Like I unless it's Dead Silence over on the other side, it's my top.
Yeah. So let's move on to one that is causing a little bit of confusion by fans.
And it should. I mean, legitimately, if it is what people are assuming it's going to be, so this next one is an IP-based house.
And it's
with a lantern. Now, there's the property everyone assumes it doesn't have sole rights to lanterns. But it does feature them heavily.
Which is?
Insidious.
And so, if you Google the lantern from Insidious, pretty darn similar.
Well, yeah. And
not that lanterns are super, unique, different, whatever. They all look the same. Shut up. Shut up, Rob.
With Insidious possibly returning, and it has been on some rumors as far as like returning, maybe part of a Blumhouse house or something like that. So this is the thing, Brian, is when I saw it, I was like, I do not want Insidious to return. And ultimately, I don't really want it to, especially if it has anything to do with the absolute...
Go ahead.
The terrible fourth and fifth movies.
It was, the ones last year and before,
So, those movies just weren't good. So if it has anything to do with those movies, I honestly, it's like bottom of the list, not excited whatsoever. You already had one great Insidious house in 24.
And it was again, top 5 scares of my life.
But I will tell you something, Brian. My mind changed a little bit tonight when I was at the gym because I had a thought.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that was based off the first movie.
Right.
It was based off the first 3 movies.
Oh, interesting.
Could this be what I predicted for Nightmare on Elm Street?
It's just the first one.
But might just be a walkthrough of the whole first movie, which suddenly at that point I'm more intrigued.
You're all in. You're like, all right, yeah.
I'm not. It's still a repeat because if I recall, that first house was a lot of Insidious 1.
Yeah. I'm waiting to poke.
But I mean,
pokey poke.
I like it. I like the idea more if it's based off the good ones, or a good one. Right. I don't want a repeat house. So if it's just a repeat, because it is in the same location.
Okay, that pokes holes in my pokey. But what about Halloween? Halloween was repeat house. It was great.
But they redid it. It wasn't it was and it was a different location too. This one wasn't a sprung tent.
That's what. Yeah, but I'm just saying we've seen it. It could work.
Yeah, I'll definitely do it. And honestly, when Halloween came back, I was interested to see what it was, but it wasn't the top of my list, if I recall.
Now,
someone's gonna fact check me on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so hyped about this house coming back. If you're gonna bring back one house, this one probably for Tawan too, because I really wanted him to do that one.
Yeah, and that's again, Halloween Horror Nights is for some of the new people too. Now let's.
But I also just know that they're gonna do 4 and 5.
Yes. But I don't know. People aren't buzzing about it. But yeah, maybe. I don't know.
When does that stop Blumhouse from promoting a property that's not that people aren't that hyped about?
That's fair. But let's walk down a completely different road of what if, because as I acknowledged a few episodes ago, I went to an event recently, and mine and my buddy, we texted each other. He texted me this. And I already knew he was going to say this because if you're a fan of wrestling, this lantern means one thing, and it is so prominent right now because of a certain return that might be happening. Now, right now, everybody who knows what I'm going to say, and I don't even know if this has been discussed, I don't believe it is Firefly Funhouse because of Bray Wyatt passing away. Now, would it be incredible? Would he want it? Did he want to work with Halloween Horror Nights? Yes. Have they done a wrestling house before? 30-something years ago? Sure. Bray Wyatt was huge. He worked with, what's his name, on his mask. He was very horror forward, and he had a lantern. It was a big thing.
Oh, okay.
And at WrestleMania, they were still giving tribute to him. His documentary just came out. They're talking about bringing one of his, storyline family members back, and everybody does the lantern thing. Honestly, I'd rather have that than Insidious because the Firefly Funhouse and Bray Wyatt's world is just a horror world, and it lends itself to just a wild amount of creativity and versatility. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I just want to acknowledge it because two of us, he was a big sell, and with Netflix, WWE is going to Netflix, which is crazy next year. So there's talks. I don't think that's it, but I just don't want Insidious 4 and 5. That's really all of us in denial about how bad the fifth one was, even though they all came back to finish their story.
I know, and I was thinking, you bring them all back, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Man, it was just boring.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bummer. But
we got a really cool,
now,
was a Ghost song out of it?
We did, yes. I'm going to go to my actual number one most anticipated house over Slaughter Cinema. And we're talking Tent 2. And the only reason I'm excited is because it's black and white, Ryan.
Okay, I was like, are you... Oh, this is the comic book one, right?
Comic book. Could you... I mean, that section in the Tribute Store last year was incredible. Take that and mix it with the other two famous black and white houses mentioned already, Dead Exposure. We could have an actually terrifying house that actually has like really cool art style and isn't just for the sake of the scare. I think there's a potential here that they could just play. I mean, everybody knows I'm a sucker for these houses. House of Horrors, I loved. The blacklight scares are perfect. They work.
Yeah.
Dead Exposure 2 didn't really fully deliver on Dead Exposure 1. So I see this as the perfect take 3 of this, or take 4 technically, of this style. And if it's anything like the visuals in that Tribute Store, this could be the best house, the best original house.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. No, what do you think? What do you think? When you saw it, what was you just think it's going to be the comics book that they published? And
we'll see. There's just so much unknown about it.
Okay.
So I kind of have to see what it is to... if it's
I've
what
gone
you
too
predicted,
far
then
down
that's awesome.
Okay, I've gone too far down my rabbit hole.
That concept is really cool, but, all we have is an icon.
That's fair. That's fair.
But speaking of another original icons, we have what looks like a little like Egyptian museum.
It's a mummy house. I'm so excited.
Is it a mummy house?
I don't know.
Or maybe was there on a spec map? Was there a Egyptian gods? I know we just came off an AI episode where we talked about
Roman gods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there Egyptian's god on the last one?
Was that the hollowed out horror?
Oh, it could be. Yeah, you're right. I think it was. I don't know. I haven't seen that one in a minute, but I'm
looking it up now.
I went straight to Mummy because we had a Dueling Dragons house.
I would love that, but
we also just did this theme.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Where I'm like,
Universal Monsters.
Yep, they have Greek gods.
Oh, okay.
As in that, it's kind of hard to see, but it looks like about that location.
Yeah, I mean, based on our AI episode, I think Greek gods.
You know what? I think
awesome.
Yeah, maybe in a birdhouse.
Maybe in the. Oh boy! All right. Well, that rounds out the houses. Overall, the biggest takeaway I have here, Ryan, and I think this is most people's takeaway. This is Rob's takeaway. We've discussed it. It looks like, on paper, knowing nothing, this is going to be an original heavy year. They're going to be they're going to be hitting way better than the IPs. Not sure, but that's just how it feels. I think the originals have the upper hand on this spec map right now.
Now, let me just throw it out there. This could be a hot topic of discussion for another night, but do you think with the amount of money they're spending on Epic, this might be a light year as far as like...
It's very possible because not only are they spending a ton on Epic and their marketing budget is going to something. I don't know what. It wasn't to that announcement last week. No, I'm just kidding. But also think of last year. Stranger Things and Last of Us were huge.
And the thing is this, I mean, to quote the David Pumpkins sketch, they can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners. That's right.
They can't all be the best one they've ever done.
And we've had really good
even
years.
A quote-unquote off year for HHN is still an amazing year.
Yeah, and the last off year that most people would consider was 26, the chance year.
Yeah, 26.
Which had 3 standout top original houses, but wasn't the strongest, full year. There is a chance that this is,
and that's not me saying that I think that's, but just looking, there isn't.
No,
I mean, Ghostbusters would be the one that would stand out the most, but we've already had it, so then it kind of drops it down a little bit. So it's like there isn't like a, oh my gosh, this IP is coming to HHN.
But also, I would say, in the same vein of Hollywood movies over the last 15 years, we've gotten sequels to everything we've ever wanted. We've gotten remakes, reboots, whatever. What's left? That's how I've gone on this, kind of tangent before. I don't know what's left for HHN. What would HHN get that's not a repeat? That's a huge win. That's not Gremlins. Yeah, I said that first. Or I don't know. Conjuring. Like, that's it. Those are the three. There's not much that's left in the world of what?
Dr. Sleep
and Monster Squad.
Monster Squad.
But those still aren't that would be in the same realm as Quiet Place and Ghostbusters. There's not this gigantic horror franchise out there that they haven't touched, so it is hard for them to find a title that's and I think Last of Us was a big one for people, and then Stranger Things when season 5 ever comes out, I don't know if people
we know that's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And then what's great is after that comes out, we'll get the Walking Dead thing where we just get all the Stranger Things houses.
I mean,
and that wouldn't be a bad year.
No, I would actually be kind of curious to see an entire half of the park, all the sound stages just be Stranger Things.
Yeah,
each one based off a different season, and then the scare zone is Stranger Things too, so it doesn't end.
I'm gonna die. But also, I think the only thing in my mind that's left that they've not touched even a little bit, I guess, I don't even the Jordan Peele stuff, but A24. That's the only door I see left that had some huge titles, but we're getting further and further away from their big, winners.
Jaws.
Well, that's
Harry Potter house.
It's not gonna happen. We know those are off the table.
Do we though?
I don't know now. I honestly don't. Everything's been turned upside down since the last 10 years. Jaws house, if not a Jaws house, at least something that can allow. Also, I'm very sad to see the water house gone on the spec map. We had kind of the sea monster house, which kind of lends itself to the goddess Egyptian thing. That seems like
maybe they're doing it next year. It's Jaws.
They heard our episode and they were like, "Oh, they're right.
We never thought of that before.
We never thought of that." Yeah.
You want to hear something that's kind of sad though, Brian? This has nothing to do with Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh yeah, okay. I love sad.
Is that Martha's Vineyard came out and said that as of right now, there is no current plans for there to be any no one's booked anything for next year for the 50th of Jaws. No event, no studio, no nothing.
Maybe it's up to us.
Us? Do we co-sponsor?
We could. If we got the momentum going, dude, with the internet, TikTok, kids, well, that's going to get banned. But,
we watch Jaws in the ocean at Martha's Vineyard.
I would love that. I think people would be super down for that.
And floaties.
They do it other places.
Can you even do that in the ocean? Would you need to have an anchor on your floaty?
That would make it more fun, safe, but I think it'd be more fun to be just chaotic bumping into each other.
Just flip it over it's like a really high tide.
But you do Hard Rock Hotel. You put the speakers in the ocean.
Someone actually gets attacked by a shark during it. It's all the movie gets recreated in the. People think that it's fake, that we staged it, but turns out it's actually real. It's a puff for a really bad movie.
Okay, it is. But I want to look something up real quick. So talk about something very cool about Halloween Horror Nights.
The cool thing about Halloween Horror Nights is that it's for all ages.
What? That's not correct at all.
Hey, I am possibly going to have a 1 week old.
That's
so can
true.
I just go ahead and just start them?
No.
At
okay. Oh, because technically, hold on, we got no. So 2022, we got a super late, but that was kind of the pandemic. I don't know. I'm trying to look up when's the last time we've gone this late without a house. And it looks like 2022 because we only got event dates and single night tickets March 24th, and then we didn't get Universal Monsters Collide, Legends Collide until May 17th. So
that was the first house announced?
That was the first house announced.
Huh.
That's 2022. Now 2023, we did get the Chucky house, obviously, in 2022. Which is confusing. But then they announced Last of Us in June, but technically they already had a house by that point. So we're not as far off base as we think. We did get Beetlejuice in 2021 in March, which, again, was known. Stranger Things in 2019, March 27th. And then, when you go 2018, 2017, they were really early. And 26. They went through 5 years of doing drops in March and April. So
yeah.
And I think, again, like you said, it's an off year. We've got Epic Universe. People already bought tickets. I would love to. I know that HHN doesn't announce, like, they don't talk data. They don't talk capacity. You have no idea what any of the stuff is, which is crazy, and I would love to know it. I would love to know how many people are already booked. What percentage of people already have tickets bought, you know?
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty high, and that just kind of they know that they're going to be able to get it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, like, I think that's kind of the thing is, like, I've said it, you don't need to advertise. You've got, if anything, you have a crowd problem.
Right.
So, like,
so did we?
People are going to come no matter what.
Did we want to talk on the shows and the one that's kind of disappeared all of a sudden over the last little bit?
I mean, I guess that is something to know is that Nightmare Fuel is the only one that's there. The one that was at Animal Actors is not showing up anymore. We did get the announcement of a new Lagoon show.
Yep.
I highly doubt that they're going to program a new one within just 2 or 3 months.
But it'd be
I wouldn't expect one. But you know what? We'll get it next year.
Yeah.
They got to focus on their daytime guests.
That's very true.
That's no matter how much, like, Halloween Horror Nights is a huge cash cow for them, they need to focus on the daily guests.
Well, back
and also
in the
making sure that
day-
people still go to that park when Epic opens, because they don't want to just lose all their people.
That's
to Epic.
That's the point right there, because people are going to argue, well, HHN is the breadwinner. Yes, it used to be next to Potter. It still is high on their income, but Epic Universe is going to be the big new, shiny toy, and they want people to come to this park still. So,
Well, and while we love SeaWorld's Howl-O-Scream,
yeah, I do.
Like,
Love it.
they don't really have competition.
No.
Versus, like, the daytime stuff, they do have competition at Disney. So they're trying to actively pull from the Disney crowd. But Halloween Horror Nights, they don't really need to.
No.
They do need a market to get some people to come out.
Yeah.
And they'll do that in the summer, which is when people generally will plan anyways.
Yeah. But
the diehards that book this early are going to come no matter what.
Right, but also in my generation, it's something that was interesting to me about it's my generation. I own it. No, the generation I'm a part of. The guy who I talked to today, who hasn't gone since Walking Dead was the last time he went. I forget which Walking Dead. He has already booked, and he hasn't gone in at least 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And he booked with no house. And that's crazy. He's not a diehard fan.
Yeah.
And they're only going for one night, but they had to plan their trip, and they had to book it. And
but it has a reputation. Like,
it has a reputation.
Anybody that I've talked to that's been once, they remember it.
Remember it.
If it's 10, 15 years ago, they're like, oh, I remember when I went. I definitely want to go back at some point.
Yeah. So you do have the majority of people that, to your point, even the people who aren't going every year still know, and they'll book because they know it's fun. They don't actually care about the content unless it's a giant IP. So
yeah.
And then Death Eater's returning. Big fan of that.
Rip Rocket.
Rip. It's going to be the final time to ride it.
If it does get announced, I'll have to ride it one last time.
Yeah, you will. Get that headache. It's not that rough. Everyone's a baby.
But it's not as smooth as it used to be.
It's not. Well, to be fair, it also wasn't ever super smooth to begin with. You just got lucky depending on the train.
I guess I can't say for sure. When I first rode it, it was like the smoothest thing I've ever ridden.
There were moments where it was very smooth.
But I also got to ride it for media, so.
Yeah, I did. I rode it the day it soft opened. Take that, everybody. I waited 4 hours. It was dumb. They only had 3 trains working, and only audio worked on 2 of them. But I want to shout out to El Toro Ryan, I believe is his name. He is, not you.
I thought the coaster, I was like, I love El Toro.
No, and you're Ryan. You think I'm shouting out a coaster and Ryan. I'm not. El Toro Ryan is a YouTuber. He's a coaster dude, but he does an amazing amount of work on these series called Problematic Coasters, and he just did one on Rocket. And, I mean, it's a long watch. It's like 20 to 30 long watch for, the kids out there. But, dude, his research, his understanding of how coasters work, if you don't even know how coasters really work, he does a great job of catching you up. But he covers problematic rides and breaks it down and explains it in ways that is just so digestible. And you will understand how much of a pain Rocket has been for this company, but also a testament to Universal fighting for their life to keep this ride up and operating. That's the more impressive part. The amount of work they did to keep this thing operating. It is. I love Rip Ride Rocket. It was in my top 10 for a very, very long time. It still might be. I know people hate it. Whatever. I love it.
It's weird because for a while, it was like a popular ride that everyone really loved, and then in the last couple of years, suddenly everyone turned. And I'm like, I've kind of always felt neutral, where I'm like, I enjoy it, but I don't go to Universal for coasters.
Right.
I mean, or at least I'm not going to wait for it.
Right. Yeah, it's a good thing Universal doesn't have a lot of coasters. Hulk, Hippogriff, Hagrid's, Velocicoaster, Mummy, the Harry Potter one that I never ride, Gringotts, that's what it was. Rip Ride Rocket.
The themed ones are good.
Woody Woodpecker. Yeah, they don't have coasters. Who goes for that? No, you're right. It's not worth a 90-minute wait. It's not worth a 60-minute wait. But if it's like 30, yeah, it's fun. And also, at night, when you close it out with Paralyzer and the LED lights front row, you can't get
I can't argue with that. And there's always a thrill when you get in and you get the secret track list.
And you get the secret track. It's so stressful. You're trying to figure it out. Yeah. So Ryan, that's my question to you. What would be your last song on Rocket? Would it be a real song or would it be a secret list song?
Oh, definitely be a secret song.
Would it be Rainbow Connection or Moving Right Along by Muppets? Because that's pretty.
I'm thinking Freebird because that just seems kind of appropriate.
Freebird's a good one. Yeah.
Appropriate. But when I did write it the first time for media, I did listen to Paralyzer. So it might
Paralyzer's so good.
It might be a good. But what are the 5 songs on now? Because they only have 5 songs.
On what?
On Rip Rocket, they took away all the songs. They picked one from each category.
What?
Yeah, that happened like 2 or 3 months ago.
Well, now.
So now it's just one page, and you pick between the 5 songs. So they might not even have Paralyzer on there anymore.
I'm feeling this feeling inside.
But Stockholm Syndrome by Muse was always my go-to. So.
What about Float On by Modest Mouse on the secret track list?
I did listen to it once.
Yeah,
it was good.
You don't even get to the best part till the ride's almost over.
That's the hard thing is a lot of times you don't make it to the
You know what song
Stockholm Syndrome, you get right to the chorus, and then it's like, and okay.
You know what song is absolutely fantastic though on the secret track list? Crocodile Rock. Oh my God, what a great song!
I think I've done that one. Yeah,
that's a good one. Well, yeah, I guess who cares what song we get?
But ultimately, Brian, the question is, we have one last chance.
I need this. Hold on, we got to take this. Whoever it is, I know you're out there. I know you're in the park, and I know you listen. Please, for the love of God, do whatever you can. Fight for your life to give us Monster Mash on Rip Ride Rocket. I don't care
one
how.
Last chance.
Just one, please. Please just give us Monster Mash on Rip Ride Rocket. That's all. It's simple, men. Here, we don't want much. I'm not asking you to keep the ride. I'm not asking you to bring just one song.
But
you know someone who can do it.
Brian, that's the thing.
We got Chucky a few years ago. You can add one song.
Yeah. Well, man, 2 episodes back to back.
I'm exhausted.
Don't say we didn't give you anything.
Yeah. In May, summer's coming, and we got nothing. It's crazy.
Oh, we're gonna have to keep up on the announcements.
AI House. AI. We're gonna do another episode. This time it's gonna be Spence, Rob, and Leah.
And I'm thinking we might need 10 minutes. No.
We did
You
great.
just say that because you won.
No, well, by barely. Wasn't by a lot. It was a few points.
I mean, true.
So
but I felt like yours were way more detailed than mine. I'm like, how did you write that?
What about 7 minutes?
I mean, I'm fine with that. I'll take any more time.
Yeah. Maybe not Shrek and I mean they. It was sandbagged a little bit. It was a little bit in my wheelhouse of.
So the rule will need to be, we've already done those IPs, and so that they can't be reused.
No repeating. Yeah. We got to pick something. I mean, because imagine. Okay, Tyler said Rocky Horror Picture Show. Imagine if they said Jaws. Like you would win that, right? Like I'm not gonna compete with that.
I mean, I would hope so.
I don't know. Jaws house. You come through the door and you fall into a pit of water. You got to swim to the exit. There's sharks in there.
Except now I want to detail out a complete walkthrough of my Jaws house.
I think you should either way. I think that'd be great.
How many trash cans do you think they would need in order to replicate the ocean?
Oh gosh, you don't care. No, all you got to do is take it the route of where you're underwater and they're puppets. They're like Alien and American Werewolf. Make them giant puppets. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
No, I'm just thinking it through my head. I would like to do it like maybe like one scene where because there's the scene where Richard Dreyfuss is underwater in the cage. That would be a great one that you could be in.
Oh, that would be.
You could
awesome.
have the cage on one side and then the shark jump out at you from the other side.
I think it will work. And everyone's like, "Oh, a shark jumping out at you a bunch of times wouldn't be scary." Michael Myers, American Werewolf.
That was literally the Jaws ride.
Yeah, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah. Sorry, giant animatronic shark jumping out at you.
It's gonna be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be scary.
And you do the thing they do with all the other IPs where you just have like a protagonist come out from a door and say one of the lines from the movie and it just startles you a little bit.
It's
like
super easy. You got the boat seat. Oh, there's so
have
much.
Quint come at you with the baseball bat and hit the radio. Like
I'm gonna be honest. After getting after getting a Dueling Dragons house, why would we not get an IP attraction house?
I know.
Well, Ryan, I'm about out. I gotta get my rest so I can go get scared tomorrow night at National Nightmare.
Do it.
We got anything else? I mean, maybe we'll get an announcement tomorrow. Maybe that's how it goes sometimes.
That's not happening.
It's not gonna, but I can wish. Maybe next Wednesday.
I don't think they're gonna announce anything until Epic's done.
God, and how many more do we have to go? We still have like 3 lands. Oh, 2? Okay.
2 lands.
Okay.
One of them is Dark Universe. So
But we have the panel coming up in 3 weeks. We gotta have something by then. Dark Universe.
I do agree. We need something by then.
Dark Universe. I'm now getting more on board with Dark Universe, Bride of Frankenstein, Scream Queen, all female Universal Classic Monsters, wives or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be 3 of them. We've seen a 3-monster house. All you need is Bride of Dracula. I don't know any of the women. Anyway.
But technically in lore, aren't they like enemies? Because in the Bride of Frankenstein house, the female vampires were like actively like
yeah.
Nobody's
Nobody's gonna.
But that's because
that.
it's in a different universe,
right? It's
and I get a point.
It's the dark. Yeah, it's the Dark Universe. You'll get a point. But I would love to see a tandem announcement. I think that's super cool. When do you ever have the chance to do that? So
yeah, exactly. Well, Brian,
we did it. It's late. It was a long day, but we made it. Thanks for sticking around, everybody, and hopefully we'll